Oh, I can feel the Yudbei Shiftei Cup. The B12.
B12, this one was full, it's like a kiddush.
It's mamish a kiddush cup. Look at this thing. It's a Chazani shir on that thing. I would like to do something bold right now and go over the entire Torah. As today is the last day that we're going to be learning this Torah, at least for now. We'll have also today on the balcony, the Sephardi Beis Medrash. Sephardi Beis Medrash at 2:50 at 2 o'clock. But I'd like to look at the entire Torah, if we can, because there's a klal when you learn Torah. It's called klal prat klal. What does that mean? Klal prat klal. That when you learn a sugya, generally you want to see the klal. You want to see the general picture of the sugya. So there's such a thing. You open up in the Gemara and read the Gemara once. Get a general picture of where you're going in the Gemara. But then go into every detail of the Gemara, every line, every word, every Rashi, every Tosfos, every Rashba, every Pnei Yeshua, every Rebbi Eger, every Chaim Brisk. Go into the details to the prat, but then zoom out again and then read the Gemara again. And then the Gemara is a new Gemara, because I went through the details of the Gemara. That's called klal prat klal. The Ramchal speaks about this a lot. Also in the Chai Klalim we mentioned this. The idea of seeing something generally, then going back into it. Now we're zooming back out. So if people want to begin, we're going to be going a little bit fast, but not so much. In the English, the whole Torah here begins on page 66. At the bottom page is 66. This mamish is a kiddush cup. Look at this thing. It's like more of a Purim cup. I have a special kais that's only for Purim. And not a shtick. It's Purim dik. It's matim. It's matim. Everyone's invited for Purim. So with Hashem's help, let's go into this journey together and to see the whole Torah and to see if we can put it all together. There's so many new things that are coming to me now in the Torah. The idea of the Galgal HaChozer I'm getting into. The Galgal HaChozer, we mentioned how things go back to the beginning. Milui Chisaron, when you replenish what was lost. We spoke about the Mem Gimel and the Gam and the going back around. When the Dam goes back to the normal circulation of the body. There's a whole section over here where Abayas says that the reason that I want to be very careful if a poor man comes to me, that I should give him bread, is because who knows that by doing this, that the fact that I have money now, and my kids have money now, who knows? Because wealth and poverty is like a galgal hachozer. It goes back around. One time you're up, you're down, you're up again. Things go back around, like the Zemer we spoke about. Part 1, part 2, back to part 3 with an added vigor. So this whole idea in the Torah of circling around. So the Torah begins, Yemei Chanukah, Hem Yemei Hoida. Chanukah is a time of saying thank you. And like the pasuk says, Chazal, these were days of saying thank you. And then we said that saying thank you is essentially what the pleasures of the world to come are all about. Because when I say thank you, I'm able to recognize there's an other. And in Olam Haba, I'm going to have this constant recognition of God for eternity. I'm going to say thank you more and thank you more. And I'm going to deepen the relationship by saying thank you. When I say thank you, I really make a bond. If I'm not able to say thank you, I'm so separate from the goodness that the person is giving me. And we said through that you become samuch to Hashem, you become korov to Hashem, you're makir Hashem, you know Hashem. And then we said, based on the halacha, that in the time to come, when Mashiach comes, There's going to be no more korbanos, except korban toida. We're going to bring an offering of thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Hashem. Thank you so much. Which is already hinting that the world to come will only be thanks. And then we said that the climax of this will be like the verse suggests, Ki yamale ha'aretz de'es Hashem k'mayim liyam mechasim. That the world will be filled with the awareness of God like water covers the sea floor. That's pretty full coverage. Now, by the way, that itself feels like also a galgal hachazer. Ki mole ha'aretz. Mole, it's full. It could have been empty. It's full. A filling of the land. A milui chisaron. And this is going to be the shashum of olam haba. That was part one. Then we go into part two, that we said that when you can say thank you, which is the pleasures of the world to come, Rebbi Nachman makes a move. I love when he makes moves. The whole Torah is moves. This is a good move. So that's the idea of learning halacha. That's the idea of learning halacha. What's the connection to saying thank you and learning halacha and the pleasure of the world to come?
You know what to say thank you for?
I know what to do. I've got guidance. I have halacha, I have halicha, I know where I'm going. Halacha is teaching me how to get to the world to come. It's teaching me what to do in order to get there. It's teaching me how to appreciate and know God. It's a real technology. Now, does halacha have something to say about everything? You better believe it. Sometimes there's topics that come up in our halacha share. People can't imagine. Like, this is insane that we're talking about this level of detail. And sometimes it's like, really? Like how you act in the bathroom? Obviously. The Torah is something to say about everything. Everything. If it has to do with your life, then the Torah wants to give you a way to live life. It's an amazing insight. So now that we have halacha, Hashem is guiding us. This is how you're going to make it. And we connected the idea together from Chazal that kol hashoyna halachas b'chol yom. Anybody who learns halacha every single day, muftach lo yishu ben olam haba. It could be certain that he's a ben olam haba, which is connecting also halacha and olam haba, which we are connected saying thank you in olam haba. So now we have saying thank you, and we have olam haba, and now we have halacha. And that halacha is no longer this dry thing. Halacha is this very vivid, beautiful, experiential awareness and meditation that this is taking me towards olam haba. That's why you want to be a yid that learns halacha. And Rebbi Nachman made a big thing to learn halacha, that you should go through the entire Shulchan Aruch from Siman Aleph until the end, and then what? Galgal HaChayzer, and then go back to the beginning. There's another Galgal HaChayzer in halacha, to make a seder of just doing loops through Shulchan Aruch. Mamish. Everyone's like, loops? I was hoping for like a first lap. Yeah, loops in the plural. I'm just going through Shulchan Aruch, seeing it over and over. Because that's the halacha, that's the halicha, that's how I'm going to make it to olam haba. And then we brought that there's 4 people that have to say thank you. Who are those 4 people? Kol ha'chaim yodu chasela, chavush, someone who's in captivity. Yud, yam, someone who crosses the sea. Yud, yisurin, somebody who, God forbid, has to go through terrible challenges and pains.
Like
Sicknesses. That's why when somebody gets well after a, God forbid, a horrible sickness, so they make a goyimel. And the mem is midbar. Somebody goes through the Saharan desert and makes it out without getting attacked by bandits and snakes and scorpions. He brings in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, he'd bring a korban toida, and nowadays he makes a goyimel. So those are the 4 people that have to say thank you. And then what did we get into there? Then all of a sudden Rabbeinu got into a whole piece about chesed. Chesed. Remember chesed? Chazdei Hashem. We got into chesed. we got into the whole idea that the Baal Shem Tov set up that we should say Mizmor Kuf Zayin Hodel Hashem Kitov Kile Olam Chasdo before Mincha of Shabbos, of Kabbalah, the Mincha going in, which already, by the way, it has to be. If you're saying that Mizmor before Mincha, then it must be that Mincha of Erev Shabbos is like Shaykh to Shabbos. That's one of the reasons I'm not getting involved in certain discussions right now, but Chassidim generally you won't find will daven a Mincha Gedoyla on Friday. Even though by the Litvish they love Mincha Gedoyla on a Friday. They're all about that Mincha Gedoyla on a Friday, and there are good reasons for it. The main reason is you shouldn't be rushed and have a Shvacha Mincha because you're so torrid Erev Shabbos that you're going to get to shul late and not have a proper Mincha. Maybe one of the reasons why that the Chassidim, there's one reason is that they Mincha, the best halachic time for Mincha is close to Shkia. Because that's when Yitzchak davened. Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basade lifnois erev. He went out close to the nighttime. That's the best time, really, for Mincha. Everybody agrees to that. They want to daven Mincha Gedoyla. They don't want to make sure that they at least have a good Mincha. So they daven Mincha Gedoyla. The Chassidim want to make sure they have a regular Mincha at the time that's the most opportune time for Mincha. And I think one of the ideas is that Mincha is like very shaykh to Shabbos. So they're already saying, Hodel Hashem Kitov. They're connecting that because they're leaving the days of the week and they're going into Shabbos now, the transition. And therefore they're putting it close to Shabbos. By the way, just so you know, the Rosh Yeshiva loves davening Mincha close to Shkia. When he's here in Yeshiva, so he's busy the whole day. But on Bein Hazmanim, you should know, you'll find the Rosh Yeshiva at his shul for Mincha that's Mincha Ketana. It's more Rebbish, you know what I'm saying? The Rosh Yeshiva is very Rebbish. He won't say that, but I'm saying in his Panemius. He likes davening a later Mincha. And don't miss Mincha. That's the whole point. Don't miss Mincha. But if you plan it properly, then your Mincha is like going into Shabbos, of Erev Shabbos. You're transforming the Mincha of Erev Shabbos into like a Shabbostika Mincha. So we got into this whole thing of Chesed, and we said an interesting Chazal that Kol HaMoineya Mitalmidoi Milashamshay, anybody who prevents a student, a Rebbe that tells a student, no, I don't want you to hang out and help me out. He's Moineya Mimenu Chesed. We said it's like he was holding back kindness. And we said, what was the kindness? Halacha. Because when the student goes and hangs out with the Rebbe, so the Rebbe is able to teach him halacha. He sees the way the Rebbe lives. He's learning how to live. He's learning halacha from the Rebbe. We call that chesed, because he's not letting him get to the world to come. The student's like, I need to know what to do. I got to navigate this world. Adam?
I finished the life of the Arizal yesterday.
Mazel tov.
Amazing. But the Arizal, like his students were like, tell me the secret. And Arizal was like, this is if I say it, something bad will happen. But he said it anyway because he didn't want to hold back. He did anything to not hold back from his students.
If you open up the Tanya, in the introduction that the Baal Tanya writes, where he basically says why he's writing the Sefer, because he had hundreds of thousands of people coming to see him. He had all of Klal Yisrael knocking at his door, and he said, it's not really possible that I can meet with everybody. And I know you're going to be upset because it's not the same thing as me writing a Sefer. And then he writes all the reasons why a Sefer will be sufficient. And then he says that, and don't worry, in every generation I will make sure that there will be mashpiyim. There will be great people who understand the Tanya. And you can go and ask them. And if they say, nah, like, who am I? Then they're being moineya bar, which is a quote from the Navi. It's like they're withholding food from you. And therefore, don't let any of these rabbis tell you, if they don't know the Tanya, then they don't know. But if they know, then don't let them say like, no, who am I? There's no time for this false, fake humility. If they know, then push them, because if they don't tell you, then it's like they're withholding your nourishment from your soul. Monea bar. And then we spoke about David, the greatest Orthodox rabbi of all time, King David. And we said that Hashem was imoy, Hashem was with David, that the halacha was always like King David. He was the Gadol Ador. The halacha always, and even the Gadol Ador, the halacha is not always like them, but by King David, I'm saying a certain Gadol. By King David, the halacha followed David b'kol makom. That's an amazing thing. When you see King David in the Gemara, it's like, it's like, obviously, if King David paskened on this, the halacha is like him. Gewaldig. And that was the chazde David. That's the chesed of King David, was that he was paskening halachas. He was paskening halachas. And it says the halachas he was dealing with, a lot of them were related to husbands and wives, and helping that a husband and wife can always stay together. The halacha was always like King David. And therefore we said that Toida is like halacha. And then we went into this unbelievable piece where we said that Rebbi Nachman is the ultimate anatomy of the soul. He's teaching us how to think, how to live, how to understand our bodies. And then he took us into our circulatory system. And he said, how does your circulatory system work? When something challenging happens to us, a tzara. There's a tsar. You lose your wallet. Date 11, she says no. It's not easy. There's a pain, something happens. You get fired. There's a letdown. So the heart starts beating quickly. The blood rushes to the heart. It's like knocking on the heart. Shoitfen al alev. And that's like a community when something is challenging going on, so the community goes to the tzaddik. The community is like the blood, and the blood starts rushing towards the heart. The community is rushing towards the chacham in order to get an eitzah, to help us out. And then it says when we come out of the tsar, so the circulation goes back to normal. And that's why we were speaking to some paramedics here. That's why when a tsar is happening, a person's circulation is not working so well. They might get white or clammy in the extremities. It's all rushing towards the vital organs and to the heart. And the heart is receiving the brunt of this intense experience. It's beating fast. It's shoitfen al alev. The fikas gedolos. It's very, very... So the heart is overwhelmed, but the heart has the ability, and towards the end we get to the fan. We get to the reya. But until now, Rebbi Nachman didn't mention the reya. He mentioned the heart. And we said also the heart is yoidea maras nafshay. The heart has like a double-fold challenge. Because number one, it feels the pain the most to begin with. The heart is where we feel. The intellect is how we calculate and discern and right from wrong. The neshama knows right from wrong. The heart feels. The heart is there to feel. So the heart feels the pain the most, but it also has this other situation going on, that all the blood is knocking on the heart. Shoitfen al alev. It's got a double thing going on. And then it says, when we come out of the pain, so the circulatory system goes back to normal. Yeah.
When we don't know about a mitzvah, and maybe many of us in the past didn't know, does the soul feel that does the soul know that we're not doing something right?
Yes. The soul knows, and it feels, this is what it's called, that the Shekhinah is in Gullus. That the soul, all it wants to do is turn mitzvahs. That's all it wants to do. The way that it works is that our soul, our godly soul is within us. But on top of that is our animal soul. And then on top of that is our body. So, almost like a glove. So if, God forbid, our body took us to a place that was not exactly such a nice place. So, let's say there was some, side alleyway, and there was some residential or building, and in that building there was a certain activities happening in that building, and those activities were not so yeshiva standard. So the person who went into such building and went into such non-yeshiva level experiences, he took his soul in there also. He took his neshama in there. So when he went into that place, the soul also went in there. And spiritually, that place would be considered like going into a dark pit. And even though it seemed it was great, there was lights and but spiritually it was very dark. And the soul got taken down into a place where it felt now that it's like trapped. It's trapped in this place. And the more that a person would go to such a place, the soul is getting pushed further and further into hiding. So much so that it says when a person does an aveira, so the first time he does it, he might not feel so good about it. The second time he does it, nasa like a heter. It becomes like, oh, this is probably permissible. Afterwards, it's almost like a mitzvah. He turns a non-good thing into a good thing. Because it's so far away, the voice of the soul is becoming like muted. And that experience is a very painful thing for the soul, because all the soul wants to do is just cleave to Hashem in this world through the Torah and the mitzvahs. So the soul is getting pushed further and further down. And all of a sudden, what happens? A yid goes to a Shabbat Suda. All of a sudden, the soul is like, I can breathe. Oh, it's so nice. And all of a sudden, the soul is like climbing out of this pit. And then eats a little bit of kosher food. It's like, oh my goodness, that tasted good. And then it puts on tefillin, and it's like, let's go. I'm coming alive again. And the soul is like clawing its way back. And that's what it means that we say that an aveira puts the Shechina into gullus. It's like it puts it into a dark place. But mitzvahs pull the soul, which is the Shechina, out of gullus. It's like climbing back out. I don't know if you're thinking about Shawshank Redemption or whatever you're thinking about, but it's like literally escaping. It's escaping from those pits. And therefore, it's like a mamish, an injection, of something good. Some of that good. I'm saying the good, the kosher good. And it feels like pumped up, like mamish boosted. Like this is a B12 boost in here. I'm feeling boosted. I'm not playing. You feel the boost. It's a different thing. It's boosted. So a mitzvah is like a boost. Now it's interesting, every little smoothie bar out there, the small mom and pop ones that are coming back on the scene, even the big time ones, they all have like smoothie and like boost section. Everyone wants boost nowadays. Want a spirulina boost, want a B12 boost, want an acai boost. Everything's like boosted. I think the world knows it needs like boosts. It needs a boost. You get some cordyceps boost in there, some deer antler boost. Yeah, there's such a thing. Yes, it is kosher. Deer antler boost.
Really, they need a neshama. We need a neshama boost.
It's all hinting to the fact that they need Shabbos and tefillin and matzah on Pesach and Lekutei Café. And those are the boosts. It's all about the boost. And all of a sudden now we went into part Gimel, and part Gimel took us after the defikus and after the circulation. We said all of this we could transfer on, that if we could do this avoida, umizeh, of saying thank you. Thank you meaning from coming out of the tsar and even really being in the tsar. I could see this as a process of Hashem is teaching me something, there's something happening here. Then through that, birth can happen in a natural, easy way. And then we talked about the same formula when a woman's getting ready to give birth. And we spoke about Pharaoh. That Pharaoh said, when you want to throw the Jewish firstborns into the Nile, well, go look, you'll see the women's legs are mitzdananus. They become cold because all the circulation is leaving the legs and it's being shoitfin ala rechen. It's hitting the womb. Now, is that a bad thing? Well, it's not simple. It's not necessarily a very relaxed experience for a woman, but it's a good thing that it's happening because that's pushing out the child. Now the child is able to come out into the world. V'az nidchak hamokum sham. And through that dechika, the Vlad could come l'chutz. The Vlad is able to come out. The baby's able to be born. And we said that process of bringing the child out is birthing halacha. That was the birth of new halacha. That's a new concept coming into the world. And then we took that and we added another layer to that. We said the Tomchei Raisa, those people that support Torah learning. So they have the same thing, the milui. They have, of the chisar, they have a chisar in their legs. Because it says, we mentioned the Zohar, that the Tomchei Raisa, the ones that support Torah learning, are like the legs of the Jewish people. They're holding up the whole body. It's hard for the Jewish people to do anything or go anywhere. Just like a body, if it didn't have legs, how would the body go and be poil and do anything? Like also, how do we poil ice? You can't be poil ice if you don't have. If there's no legs, you can't go and do. And to be poil ice means you need legs, and they hold up the whole koyma shlema. So the ones that are the Tomchei Raisa, they're holding up the Jewish nation by supporting financially. And we said, but they lose. They transfer $10 million into this project. But now they're missing in their legs. But you know what they did? Through their contribution, they birth something new. They build a shul. They make a project happen. They start an initiative. So then they birth that into the world. But at the same time, the money comes back to them. So there's a milui of the chisar, and it's a galgal achayzer. And the blood returns back to the legs, and they birth something new into the world. And that's a gevaldik chesed. Is there any bigger chesed than that? The Tomchei Raisa than gevaldik chesed. And it's nismale achisar. And then Rebbi Nachman added another layer. And this is what it means, that the sun and the moon, that the Jewish people are like the moon. And the moon has a chisaron. And the moon is the female energy of the world. And the sun is the male energy of the world. And the moon got smaller. But in the end of days, there's going to be a full milui chisaron, that the moon is going to be bright like the sun. And female energy is going to shine forth in the world once again.
Well, you're saying atid. What about the atid?
Latid, we're going to have, the moon will be great like the sun. We mentioned this in Kiddush Levana. Ye'ora Levana ke'ora chama. That the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. And did you ever notice anybody after Kiddush Levana, they like do something with their tzitzis? You ever notice that? People like, they tighten their tzitzis? You ever saw that before? Well, look out for it. Now, one of the reasons is because you're having this experience of connecting to the moon energy, that the Jewish people are like the moon, and we wax and we wane, and there's going to be a time we're not going to wane anymore. We're just going to keep waxing. And what we're really saying by that is we're saying that I see already the moon now is growing and growing in its spiritual power, so much so it's going to be like the sun, that I could do things like it's broad daylight. check my tzitzis, make sure that the knots are good, that everything's tied up nicely, that the moon is going to grow and grow till it's like the sun mamish. And then we brought in Avraham, ki to'ela told us Hashemayim ve'ha'aretz behi ba'aram be'avraham, which is chesed, that the whole world is for chesed, oilam chesed yiboneh. And then we said Mizmor l'toida. Rebbi Nachman said l'toida, saying thank you is the same letters as toilada, to give birth. And then Hariyah Hashem Kol Haaretz is the same, is the Rosh Tevis Halacha. And then we talked about Asa, the king who prevented Torah scholars from learning, and he was afflicted in his legs. He had leg problems, which is all a part about the anatomy of the soul. When things are happening in your body, Hashem is talking to you through those things. And then we moved on to Ois Daled. And then we said, when you're zoiche to learn Toida and Halacha, then all of a sudden we get the Ora Emes. All of a sudden Rebbi Nachman opens up Ora Emes, the light of truth, the Or of Emes. And this began a whole universe. Meaning the word Kisha Zoichem Lebechinas Toida Halacha means you have to keep in mind everything that we talked about until now. And that if we're doing this avodah properly, Toida and Halacha, we're going to get to Emes. We're going to have truth. And the Emes is going to be Meir Ba'adibur. Even all of this is Nisgala Ora Emes. It's going to shine into the Dibur. Emes is something that shines. It's something that's revealed. And we said in the beginning, when there's a tsar and the dam is hitting on the heart, there must be some pagam in Emes. Which means tsaris only happen to a person if there's a pagam in the Emes. But when you get out of the tsara, which is the bechin of Toid and Halacha, then the Emes shines brightly. Titen Emes LeYaakov, Chesed LaAvram. And we spoke about Sheker and Emes. We went into this whole interplay of Sheker, Emes, the sun, the moon. You start seeing these interesting interplays through the whole Torah. And then we said that Emes receives its Emes through three names of God. What were the three names of God? Kel, Elokim, and Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That King David pointed out, Kel, Elokim, Hashem, Diber. He put those three names towards Dibur, that those three names, the truth of those three names, shining into the Dibur. And we said those three names correspond to Chesed, Gevur, and Tiferes. And the Chesed, Gevur, Tiferes shines into the Arba Chelkei HaDibur, that there's four parts of speech, the Ribua HaDibur, the Rovus square of Dibur, how I'm supposed to speak in the Rovus square, the Ribua HaDibur. And we said that the 3 and the 4 of Chesed, Gevur, Tiferes is shining into Netzach, Hoid, Yesod, Malchus. And we showed through the posuk of Moshe Rabbeinu, Lo ish devar ma'anoichi gam etmol gam mishel Hashem gam me'oz dibercha, which is the Ribua Dibur, the 4 parts of that posuk. And gam starts showing up in the Torah. This whole secret of gam, which gam, when they say also, gam is implying what? Also something and also this. The pu'ulus mishtanas. Because gam is gam v'gam v'gam, also this and also that's the pu'ulus mishtanas. And I need to bring the light of Emes, which is the achdus haposhet, into the pu'ulus mishtanas, into the arba chelkei adibur, the ribua dibur. And then we started going through the 4 parts of dibur. And the first part of dibur was what? The dibur shel tzedakah, to be a person of tzedakah. And we said that's the ikr gedera adam. Yeah?
What does that mean, dibur or tzedakah? Tzedakah is an action, no?
That I speak words of charity.
Meaning being generous with your words, like compliments?
Compliments, helping.
Mm-hmm.
Even that I'm speaking in a way that I want to give tzedakah. I want to help. I'm kind. That's the ikr gedera adam. And we said without the other ones, I would have stopped there. That's the ikr gedera adam. And we spoke about yesterday that this was really not 4 separate things, that it's one thing and then it's a process going through the other ones. We said that you start with the Dibur Shel Tzedakah. That's when everything's Keseder. We added the whole Keseder. Circulation, Keseder. Everything's Keseder. So what's the Keseder? Adam Rishon before the Chet. Dibur Shel Tzedakah. What would the world look like if Adam never ate? Mashiach, friendly people, good people, going from toiv to toiv to toiv. But then all of a sudden we said there was a tsar. That's when the dam is shoyt fin al alev. We said that that's Shem Elokim. That's Shem Elokim. And Shem Elokim, we said, corresponds now going into the Dibur of Teshuvah. Because now you need to do Teshuvah. The Nachash shows up on the scene, enters stage left, the Nachash. So now something happened. Now there's a tzara in the system. Now there's something happening in my life. There's Pu'ulus Mishtanis, which is the Trua. Now I'm in the Trua. I'm in Olam Hazeh now. I'm in Adam Rishon post Nachash. And then if I go through that process in a healthy way, and I'm able to use the eitzes of lahoidus alahala, of saying thank you, then I get to the dibur of ashirus. That's the leida. That's the birthing. Something is new coming into the world. I see that Hashem was putting me through this for a reason. And then through that I come to the dibur of malchus, and I put the shaloika seder back into the seder, but I'm on a higher darga now, because I had a leida. Something new came to the world. It's a chiddush and halacha. And those were the arba chelkei adibur. And then we spoke about an ois hey, that then there's shleimus adibur. And shleimus adibur comes through lashon HaKodesh. Through speaking lashon HaKodesh. That the ultimate shleimus adibur is lashon HaKodesh. And then we really began the idea of going from the Pu'ulus Mishtanis into the Achdus HaPoshet, is that the 70 nations of the world, that's the Pu'ulus Mishtanis, and lashon HaKodesh is the one. And we spoke about Shabbos Kodesh, and that's why the Arizal was makbid to only speak lashon Kodesh on Shabbos, because Shabbos is the one. By the way, there are some opinions that he was speaking Yiddish on Shabbos. Sfardim also speak Yiddish. They're neshamas.
Only on Shabbat.
At least the pashtus is that it was lashon Kodesh mamish. That's the Achdus HaPoshet. And that he was makbid. And it's brought down Eliyahu Rabbah and the Halacha Sfarim, that there's such a thing. Be mamayit b'dibur, mamish, the dibur is just emes. Lashon Kodesh. And then we got into a whole piece of the days of the week are like days of atzvus, days of challenge, of pu'ulus mishtanas. We mentioned that those are days that are run by Metat, the Sar HaPonim, the angel, which serves more as an eved. He doesn't let you in. And all the tefillahs really go up with the Jewish people on Shabbos, because that's when we're like a ben, like a son. That during the days of the week we're like an eved. That's metat. But all of a sudden on Shabbos, so Hashem says, move away. I'm opening up the door. Come, my children. Come on in. That's Shabbos Kodesh. That's why Shabbos has many steps. There's a journey of Shabbos itself. That's why the Arizal said, you don't just go to the mikveh Erev Shabbos, you go to the mikveh on Shabbos itself, because you're preparing for a higher level revelation. And they said that when we say Oilos Shabbos b'Shabbatoi, that they meant in Panemius that not just an oila that we bring. Look in the davening there in Shemon Esrei, that Oilos Shabbos b'Shabbato is there's an aliyah of Shabbos on Shabbos itself. That the mikvah of Erev Shabbos is a mavdil bein chol lekodesh. I'm leaving chol, I'm going to kodesh. But the mikvah of Shabbos morning is a mavdil bein kodesh lekodesh. I'm going from kodesh to another kedusha. That Shabbos has an aliyah until you get to Shalosh Shodis, which is Ata Echad, V'Shimcha Echad, Umikam Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'aretz. It's all one. And many of the tzaddikim had Shalosh Shodis in the dark, that they were blurring the borders of separation, of Pa'ulus Mishtanas. It was all one. It was all one. You didn't notice, they eat very little. You're leaving all the multiplicity. It's all one. And that's why the Iker Chizik of Kelal Yisrael is really Shalosh Shidduchos. It's to be together, Shalosh Shidduchos. All the tzaddikim, that's when the Lamav tzaddikim get together. Shalosh Shidduchos. When the biggest tzaddikim are really doing their stuff, they get together, Shalosh Shidduchos. And there were always a few people that would hide under the table to hear what are the tzaddikim talking about on the Shalosh Shidduchos. That was the Iker time of the tzaddikim and Shalosh Shidduchos. Yeah,
What do you think the tzaddikim are talking about in Shalom Chevra sometimes?
If you ever find out where they hang out, let me know. I'll go hide under the table with you.
Translate to Yiddish?
With pleasure.
Have you ever heard any mystical stuff? They talking Klal Yisrael or Goku Mother? What are they talking about, you think?
They talk about...
Kiruv?
For sure.
Lekutei Moharan? Lekutei Café?
They just want to save the world. They just love humanity. They just want to save the world. They want to bring the world back to the Achdus HaPashut. That's what it is. That's their whole desire. To bring the whole world back to God. It's pretty nice, right? That everyone should have a happy, beautiful experience connecting to their Creator. And this whole piece of Shabbos in the days of the week. And then in Ois Vav, the Rebbe goes and says we have to bring the Or of Shabbos into the week, into the Pulas Mishtanas. A big piece about understanding unity consciousness, going into multiplicity, and that it wasn't by chance that Hashem made a world of multiplicity. He wanted us to go through that process of Keseder, Shaloi Keseder, and then coming back into the Seder. The Arba Chelkei Adibur, and the Dam is Shayfan al Alev, and there's a Tzara, and there's Toida, and then you come out of the Tzara, and you birth a Leida. And then this whole piece, we said, and by the way, this is the Tanur Shalachnoi. This was the Machloikas of Eliezer and the snake oven. That whole Machloikas of Echad the Rab and Halach Garabim, and Rabbi Eliezer, who's really the Achdus HaPashut Mamish. And the Achdus HaPashut, you could control nature, you could do, and all the other tzaddikim were finding the Achdus HaPashut in the Pu'ulus Mishtanas. That was the Echad Ram Halakha Ram, and it's greater that you could have so many different dayas coming to one conclusion, that humanity could come under the one God. That's greater than just all being robots. Is that we would come from diversity, from multiplicity. Come as you are. And then we could unify together. Ki beisi beis tefila yikar l'kol ha'amim. That the Beis Hamikdash will be a place of prayer for all the nations of the world. And went through that whole Maisa, Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim, and then we brought it all back, and this is Chanukah, which is days of Hoidah, which is Shashu Elam Haba, which is Halacha, which is Shleimus Adibur, which is Emes. And we said, all of this is the Shemin of Ner Chanukah. This is the Shemin. And then Rebbi Nachman really pulls the whole Torah together, and he brings in the Reya. He brings in the lungs. And all of a sudden the lungs, we didn't know about the lungs. But now the lungs are the Iker Kiyam Aguf. Kiarei Kiyam Aguf. The Reya is holding out the body. I thought the lave was. No, there's something even higher than the lave. That the lungs, when the lave can become overwhelmed, and the lave is warming up. So we need the lungs to cool things down. But what happens if the lungs themselves are overworked? Need the shemen. And that's the hoidah. That's saying thank you. And here it's saying thank you while you're in the tzara. While I'm in the tzara mamish, I'm saying thank you. And this is the refuah. The shemen is the refuah. That's the lachaluchis. That's the moisturization that brings me back. And then Rebbi Nachman ends the whole Torah with this amazing thing that when the tzaddik is in tsar, there's a neshamas in this world, there's neshamas in the higher worlds that are all feeling this. He starts connecting everything together. Neshamas are all feeling this. And when you come out of the tzara, it's a blessing for all humanity. And then the Rebbe ends, and he says, and da. And da. Da doesn't just mean no. It means open up your hearts. It means he's pulling this down from the Olam Atzilus. And you should know that a woman who's having a hard time giving birth, she's in the tzara, you should say, Mizmor l'soida. All of a sudden I'm saying thank you while I'm in the pain. This is the climax of the whole Torah.
Why?
Because that's where the highest eitzah is. While I'm in the tsar, I could see that this is a process that's actually helping me. This is the process that's helping me. And then he connects Mizmor l'soida and Mal, and he brings it back to Gam. And Gam is Amalek.
The woman should say it, or the man?
They can, but if the woman's able to, she could say it. It's not always so pashut. But if the man for sure, the husband should be saying on her behalf, Ishtak Gufo. The man should for sure be saying it. And he ends the whole Torah with Mem Gimel and Gam. Ki Mizmor Azehu Misugol Lamaksha Leilid. That's the final words of the Torah. Is that when you say Toida while you're in the Tzara, it's Misugol. It's special to get you out while you're in the Tzara. Because Amalek wants to prevent children from coming into the world, which we spoke about in Rebbi Nachman. That's Amalek's thing. And the Jewish people are populous. They want to see children in the world, bring solutions into the world. And that's more Pa'ulis Mishtanis that could recognize the Achdus HaPasha. So, Hashem, we should be Zoicha. We should be Zoicha to connect to the Torah of the Tzaddik. We should be Zoicha to take all of the eitzas from this Torah. We should be Zoicha to be people of Haidah, to be people of giving thanks. We should be Zoicha to know Halacha. We should be Zoicha to the Shashu Elam Haba. We should be Zoicha to see all of humanity, seeing and connecting to the Creator of heaven and earth. We should be Zoicha not to get lost in the sas of the Pulas Mishtanis in the 6 days of the week. We should be Zoicha to bring the Or of Shabbos Kodesh into the 6 days of the week. We should be Zoicha Mamish to feel that in ourselves and not feel discombobulated in ourselves, and to have clarity of Shabbos Kodesh, to be Shomerei Shabbos, to love Shabbos, to keep the Lamed Tes Malachos of Shabbos, the Lamed Tes Malachos, which is the letters Tal. And it says the Tal, that the resurrection of the dead is going to come through the dew, through the Tal. By keeping the Lamed Tes Malachos, we're going to have the Tal. We're going to have this dew that's going to come and moisten the earth. And we're once again going to see the sprouting up of all those that have been buried in the ground. And Hashem is going to wipe away the tears from all the faces. Bila hamavis lanetzach. And death will be swallowed up from the world once and for all. And we're going to see the resurrection of the dead. We're going to see the great days of the Tikka b'Shofar Gadol. We're going to see the great days of Yamalei Haaretz De'as Hashem K'mayim Liyam Mechasim. We're going to see the great days of all of humanity coming Ma'arba Kanfei Sa'aretz, from all the multiplicity coming back to Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh. And we're going to march all together with Mashiach Tzidkenu to see the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, and we're going to see the Eish, Tukad al Gabe Mizbeach. We're going to see the great fires of passion ignited in our hearts. And once again, we're going to see unity. But now we're going to see the unity, the Keseder, after the Loi Keseder. And we're going to enjoy the Shashu Elam Haba, and we should be zoich to this. And all of our friends and families come back home to their neshamas, with the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, with Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mehira v'yameinu. Amen. Oyahu Ashreinu, Matorakeinu, Manayim Goraleinu. Oyahu Ashreinu, Matorakeinu, Manayim Goraleinu. Achre.